Okay, so last week, I mean, just to kind of do a quick review, we did this one-page plan. Did anybody not get the one page?
No.
If you didn't get the one page, I'm not going to do it again, but if you didn't get it, you can actually do your whole plan at one page. And then we, the one thing we did last week that we're not going to do again, but I went through, quickly Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the reason I did that is because the problem with a business plan, if you don't marry to your business plan your emotional reasons why you should be doing this. If you don't have a very, very strong set of emotions tied to the business plan, you're just not wired. Nobody is wired to be dry in life. So I don't care who you are. If you lose sight of why you've got the plan and all your own personal, a lot of it is personal. See, you might not realize that most of your reasons for doing what you're doing are personal. So if you don't have that plan built out clearly, not the business plan, but the plan for your life. If the plan for your life is weak, it's going to be hard to have a strong business plan. So that's kind of why we did Maslow's hierarchy. So then we kind of went right through to the point where we're actually, and momentarily the plan will show up in your hand. Rebecca's working on it. She'll put it together and show you the plan. But for some of you that were here last week, we started on the first 4 pages. So before I jump into the first 4 pages, is there anything I should touch on from last week that we didn't make clear? You're good? You're okay? Did everybody write down now an hourly figure that you should be earning?
Yeah.
Some people did. That's good. You see, when you have a good plan and you have good reasons, every year you can give yourself a raise. Unless, I mean, there may be somebody in the room whose income is fixed, and doesn't matter how hard you work, that's how much you're going to make for the year. Is everybody like that? There's nobody like that. Okay, good. I usually don't end up in rooms with people like that, because you see, I could never work in that environment. I was in that environment for about 3 years of my life, and then I left. So the year I left working for, I was working on a lumber yard. I ran this lumber yard. I did all the sales, and I turned this place around. Like, the sales that they had in this lumber yard was so low, and I literally went out, contacted all the contractors in the area, and I just sold stuff like it was crazy. So then I said to the people at the lumber yard, I said, well, you guys pay me a percentage, put me on a commission. And they go, well, we can't do that. I said, so the harder I work and the more sales I make, I just get paid the same amount of money. He goes, yeah. I said, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. So when you're in an environment where what you do, like you get rewarded for what you do, if you have the right plan, you can give yourself a raise in January. And the only thing that'll mess you up is you. That's always the problem. Like, the only thing that mess you up is if you don't follow the plan and you don't really get this down pat. So, everybody should. The 2 numbers you need to move ahead with a business plan is, number 1, you should know how much an hour you made last year. Yeah, please. We need that. If you don't know how much an hour you made last year, quickly figure it out. Take your annual income, divide it by 2,000 hours. I'm not saying 2,000 is the magic number, but 2,000 is based on a 40-hour work week. Randy Dick the other day, we were doing this class, and he says, Ray, that's a pretty light year. Guys like Randy with lots of muscle, he goes, Ray, that's a light year, 2,000 hours, because he worked way more than 2,000 hours. So, we got to about, one of these days we'll even have page numbers on these. Rebecca, that would be awesome.
I know.
One of these days. I apologize. So we're on about the 4th page. Are we good to go to the 4th page? Because I know some people actually worked on their mission statement. Some people worked on the page that says organization of my business, or my real. For you that are not in real estate, you can change the word real estate to my business. So we talked a little bit about things that you would outsource, things that you would focus on. It's like on the way in, Kurt and I were talking about certain listings. Like you got to focus on listings if you're in real estate. But after you get the listings, you actually have to focus on certain listings more than others. So you got to have them on your top 10 list, and you got to focus on them, or they're not going to sell. You're not going to actually engage yourself into doing creative thinking. So there's got to be creative things you can do to make your listing sell. And you know, actually the takeaway from that is that if you want to kick your business really up after you built your plan, every day there should be 10 things that you're writing down every day. I usually like to do it like this. Just get yourself one of these little notebooks that detectives have. Get one of those, and I dare you to every day of the year write down, before you leave the house, these are the 10 things I'm going to do today. But you know, some of those 10 things could be just personal stuff. But at least you have your top 10 things that you're going to get done. And some of the top 10 things, just to help you, are things that you imagine. I'll give you an example, just so you don't think it's like how does Ray come up with it? I write on my top 10 list. I've got about 3 or 4, I've got 2 or 3 properties right now that are difficult properties to sell. So I write on my list, I will sell the hotel in Prince George. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. But every day I write it down. I'm going to sell that hotel in Prince George. I had this condo. What do we sell? What's the absorption rate of condos in Abbotsford?
In Abbotsford is about 5%.
So the absorption rate is about 5%. So that means we sell about 5 out of 100.
Wow.
I have this condo that I listed in May. We listed it above the market. Sellers wanted to, I explained, oh, great, okay. We missed a really good sale in July that if we'd been priced right, we possibly would have been in the running, but we were 10,000 over on a $200,000 listing. And one of the neighbors sold. So by August, we readjust. We're doing the wrong thing. We're following the market instead of being ahead of the market. We adjust it, but it's on my list. And so what's funny was on the 1st of October, the people whose condo I have listed, I have her granddad's condo listed, and I sell it. So it was tough to sell, right? It was in a seniors building, so it really, I mean, the absorption rate in a seniors building is even lower than 5%. So I sell this other condo, and I'm thinking every day, I'm writing this down, I got to sell this condo for this young couple because they got to get out of this thing, right? And we're not priced right. Absorption rate's low. I mean, there's nothing really going for me, right? And last week, I get 3 showings. I mean, they were shocked that we had 3 showings. And I get an offer. And we pushed the buyer like it was unbelievable. I thought we're going to lose it. Over $1,000 we pushed them. Push, and we got it. I just made the phone call to the Strata people. They're going to email me the docs, and the subject should come off on Monday. So I don't know how it works. I just know that if you write things down, if you make the plan, and if you put I'll tell you what, this top 10 thing, if you do nothing else out of this class, and you go away from here and you say, you know what, for the rest of my life, I'm going to write 10 things down every day, your whole life's going to change. I have no idea why. But I can tell you this, that I've written stuff on a piece of paper. I've written things like, I'm going to go to Australia. And within 2 months I get a phone call and they're paying for me to go to Australia. Isn't that amazing or what? Like unbelievable.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So if you realize how powerful planning is, you'll actually go right down. So we're going to get to the page. Did we talk? Okay. Applying systems to my real estate business. I don't think did we get to that page last time? No. Okay. Okay. So, you know, here's the deal. You don't need a system if you're going to do very little stuff. Like if you're going to sell 5 homes a year, you don't need a system. So just so you know, I didn't have the systems first, I had the business first. And as I built the business, I realized I better put systems in place if I want to build the business even more. So a lot of the systems I'll tell you about, I realized that if I didn't, I had to have them. It was not even optional. So the whole part of building the business is a little separate part, but if you get the plan, and these are parts of the plan you gotta have. So as an example, on the top of, number one, applying systems to my real estate business, number one. So I'm just saying, you're gonna have different, some systems the same as me, some systems different, you're gonna modify some of the things I say. But here's a simple one. On every listing presentation, I'll take a listing checklist to make sure everything is done properly and I don't forget anything. And I have a copy of the checklist in my file. You say, what's so important about that? Well, I used to take over 100 listings a year. Over 100 for years. So if I took over 100, if you take 10 listings, I'll guarantee you that anybody in this office that takes 10 listings in a month is gonna be run off their feet. I had weeks where I had 10 listings. I had days where I had 6 listings. I had days where I do 6 listings in one day. Okay, so without a system, I would be so screwed, it would be unbelievable. The paper would just keep piling up stuff. Imagine if you went out, if anybody went out today and took 6 listings, let me tell you some of your problems. How many hours do you have to submit the listing to the board?
48.
You got 48 hours. Thanks very much, Chris.
Welcome.
You have 48 hours to submit that listing, not counting weekends. If you don't submit the listing in time, what's the board gonna do? They're gonna send you back to get the seller to initial. The seller's gonna go, what? Everybody that listed the home with you, they don't care about your problems. You can say, well, Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't just list your home, you know, my excuse is I listed 7 other homes that same day. So, you know, you can understand why I would screw up, right? I mean, that's why you hired me, right? Because I'm such a screw up. So you better have, you better make sure you don't screw anything up. I mean, even for a guy like the selling insurance, you better make sure you don't have to make 2 trips if you don't have to. You gotta have all your paperwork and everything you need. If you have to do something once and you do it again, come up with a system. So that was simple. You know, I took my list. We used to have it. My assistant had. She had a drawer full of listing packages. So once I realized that, you know, I'm just going full tilt, I could grab several listing packages, and each one of those packages had everything that I needed. Okay, and I had interview packages and actual listing packages. That's 2 different things. So an interview package has got all the stuff that I need to show them what I'm doing, and the listing package is all the documentation that I need to fill in with the checklist for all the stuff I need to get from them. Because when I'm there, I gotta just make it all happen, because I'm going to the next one, and I'm not gonna get back there for a long time. And if I forget stuff and if I don't work efficiently and effectively, I'm gonna get screwed up. So that's all that you need to do. You gotta figure out some systems. I watch people without systems just constantly wasting time. So okay, now let's skip down to number 3. This is the biggest screw up. The biggest screw up in the real estate business is nobody has developed and implemented a follow-up plan of regular communication with all sellers. The biggest single screw up. So I'll tell you what I did, but you can do something, and you could do something similar, but you need to have a strong database. So with a strong database, the database has the ability to implement plans. So you build a plan in the database for each listing. So that's, everybody know what that is? Yeah, you're kind of shaking, you know, like in a database you can build a plan for the listing, and you set it up the way you want it. You launch the plan when you get the listing. So now the plan manages the listing, manages it for you, and lets you know what you need to do via an email or something that has to be printed. So when you have that plan, and the plan makes you have one contact with the seller every month. Every week. So you're contacting the seller weekly, and you're sending the seller something every week. So you know, I set it up so I had a letter. Back in the day, I didn't have email, but you can make most of these into emails. However, what's powerful is not the letter and what's in the email; it's the attachment. The attachment is what I killed them with. So every letter had an attachment, and that's what they would always be just like, wow. So the first letter that goes out, I'm thanking them for the listing. Guess what? I have an attachment that is called seller's homework. so my seller's homework attachment is probably one of the best things I ever came up with. And so it's a list of all the things that the people should give me, they should get to me, in order for me to do the job. And of course, like the seller's homework, there's always gonna be something that somebody didn't give me. So on the seller's homework sheet, I just, between myself and my assistant, we know what wasn't given to us on this listing. So we check it off. So for instance, for all you guys that do a strata, who lists a strata property and has all the minutes, the doc, and all the everything the next day? Who's got it? Is there any realtor that has all that paperwork the next day? No. No. Is there anybody that has all the keys the night they list the property? There's just so many little things, right, that you need to have, right? And so if you don't tell the seller that they're involved in this whole process, they're gonna think that you're doing the whole thing, and they're gonna wonder how come the house isn't sold in about 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, they're wondering, like, how come the house isn't sold? Well, you haven't helped me. Matter of fact, I used to have this little thing that I explain to people, and I still do, and it's simply this. I would tell the folks at the listing presentation that there isn't a house out there that I can't sell if the sellers want to sell it. So if I go to somebody's home and they really want to sell the home, remember that home we went to, Roy? Roy and I went to we did a difficult listing. It was, that was difficult, Rob, just so you know.
Yeah.
For my standard, that was difficult, and we got it done. Roy got it done. But these people were difficult. But they wanted to sell. And so once I have them believing that we can do the job, that's the first thing. I got to get the mind on side. So I got them believing we can do it. Now, if I got them believing, then I've got a chance to get them to do the right thing. So if you got them believing, now you get them to do the right thing, and you stay in touch. Because getting people to say, I'm going to do it, and getting them to do it is just the same as you and I. Is there things in your life you can remember that you know? Everybody knows what they should do. Not everybody does what they should do. Right? We always try to cut corners or procrastinate or selling somebody's home the same way. So that homework sheet's a big deal. Because you know what? The moment you send that homework sheet out, you're not going to get calls like, Ray, what are you doing? Ray, have you sold our house yet? Folks, how can I sell your house without you giving me all this stuff? I need all this stuff first.
So you're essentially just kind of delegating some of the tasks to them.
Greg, some?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Some. It's like, believe it or not, this morning, I have a seller he's totally in charge of getting all the strata docs. He's going to get it, pick it up, and so I phoned I phoned the management company just a few minutes ago, and I know the gal there, and she wouldn't normally do this. She says, Ray, I don't do this for realtors, She says, well, I'll do it for you. And she's already, it's on my phone probably, she's already emailed me the docs, he hasn't even paid for them. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you, there's not too many strata people who do that. I've already, if I check my phone here at the break, at the break I'll check my phone and I'll email the docs to the other realtor.
So they're giving you the docs without?
Yeah! The girl in the strata company's emailed me, she was emailing when I was before we started. So I'll have them here, they're probably on my phone. And he's not going to pick them up till noon and pay for them. But I made him initiate the whole thing and he's going to go pay for it, and she gave me the docs. So, you know what? Ask me if 2 weeks ago if I went and got the docs for another property. Yes, but because my seller was out of town. So I mean, it's not like you kind of have to roll with the punches, right? But if you get the other people involved in the sale all the way through the sale. So you see, the first attachment that I send is the seller's homework. But by the third attachment, so let me tell you the second attachment. The second attachment, they're the first people to see the listing on MLS. The very first people. The moment it comes up on MLS, you send that to the seller. They should be the first people to get it. The third piece they're going to get is by the time the second week has come along, I'm sending a just listed card to the whole neighborhood. But I only do the card to send one to the seller. The rest are freebies. The 200 and something, the $50 I pay the marketing department to print the card is so I can send the first one to the seller. And if I get business out of the rest of it, that's gravy. So the third piece that I send them is if I make a feature sheet, or if I'm sending a flyer someplace, or if I'm gonna have an open house and I'm preparing some stuff for the open house, I send it to the seller. I don't run any ads or do anything fancy or creative without actually getting their approval. So I kind of go, I fire it off to them and I say, here's a flyer that's gonna be going out in your neighborhood. Would you mind checking it out and make sure you're okay with it the way it is? So the moment you start involving them week after week in the process, now you come to the big one. The big one is every month, you're gonna send them a market update. That's the biggie. So every month you go on ML Exchange or whatever program you're using, and you do the basic, the basic printout that comes from the system on what are we competing with, what's sold, or what's, because there may have been some changes. And when you send that letter, you go, please look this over, and let's have a meeting to review your situation, so we can make your place the most competitive place on the block. See, I have them praying. See, I get them all praying the same thing. So, you get them all praying the same thing. That means you get them all heading in the right direction. So, what I'm suggesting is, like, unless you don't want your home to be the most competitive home in the marketplace, like, just let me know. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm really okay if you say, Ray, you know what, we really feel sorry for our neighbors, because, I mean, those are really nice people, and, like, we should price our home in such a way that theirs sells first. Like, I don't mind using my home as an example, so the realtors will say, now look at that overpriced piece of crap, like, why would you buy that? Like, I mean, if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that too. I go with the flow. I'm exaggerating a little, right? Are you good with that? So, like, you need to come up with a plan. Whether you do it as technical as that, like, there's a guy in our office. I take my hat off to him. It's Randy. I've never seen a guy that is so disciplined. He gets on the phone every week and he phones everybody. It's unbelievable. People want to know, how come he's the top agent, got the top team? Go see what he does. Nobody else will do that.
It's a good habit.
Yeah, every week he's got a time slot and he's just phoning everybody. And sometimes I've listened to him. He goes, folks, I'm just phoning you up just to let you know that I'm still on it. Got nothing to tell you. Nothing's happened. These are the bad calls, right? No showings, we're doing all the right things, nothing's happened, but I just thought I'd touch base. That's a tough call to make, a very tough call to make. And so, you gotta figure out what, I left you a spot there.
Ray, just a point on that, probably what is important about that is that in a service business, when people aren't communicated with, they'll assume nothing is being done.
Exactly.
So it's a good idea to do it.
Great point. So then in the bottom of that sheet there, it says I'll implement a weekly meeting with myself and my staff to review my listings and sales business. So this weekly meeting, remember I told you gotta have a meeting with yourself every day, but now you gotta have a meeting with yourself and your staff. So if you don't have staff, the meeting is with yourself. And if you don't have a weekly review of this business plan, like if you build this business plan and throw it in the drawer, it's not gonna really serve you. You know what? Believe it or not, if you build a plan and throw it in the drawer, it's better than not building the plan. So for sure, it's gonna be a help. But if you build the plan and review the plan week by week by week, what's gonna happen is you are gonna change. That's the whole idea here. The whole idea here is to try and get you to change, get you to become more business-like. So I left you some space. What other systems we develop in your business? There's tons of systems. So what other systems could you develop? Anybody want to throw one out for us? No? Okay. Technology. So I'm just saying that you need to. Can somebody tell me that they've got at least 1 or 2 technology things they could do this next year to improve their business? Sure. I see some shirts. Like, give it like what? Want to share one?
Well, I got to think about auto scheduling. Because I mean, obviously, hopefully it'll get to a point where I've got a lot, and I need a system to help me manage that. Now, you mentioned earlier on, because I was going to ask you a question about that. Do you write your stuff still in pen on a calendar? See, that's the thing I'm sort of alluding to.
It's all in here. It's on my Google. It's on Google Calendar. So there's an app. You know, there's a little app, and you just hit the app, and it opens up the month, and you hit the day, and it opens up the day, and then you just hit the menu, and you just go. You start putting stuff into the calendar. So you remember when in the first part of the session when I had the schedule there? Like, if you're not going to use the schedule, you know, now a paper schedule is better than no schedule. I mean, I used a paper schedule for years.
Have you used the tool on MLS? Because you can they have a system in there where you could do all that input stuff, and they'll give you auto schedules and all that stuff. Just wondering if you've had any experience.
Does it show up on does it show up on a smartphone?
I'm not sure if it can be synced. I think there's a third app that you can get to do that.
I'll tell you what, it could be great. If it doesn't show up on my phone, then I'm handicapped. Right. In other words, if like, just go back. I mean, in the first I took a course one time from a guy in Vancouver. He came up north, 1985. I paid $350 in 1985 to take a one-day course on how to master scheduling. And these like, what was it? Remember, Bill, what those books they were called? They were like daytimers, but they had a system for these books, right? Yeah. And I used to buy the guy's material every year after year, all the pages, and I keep all my old files. We used to keep all our files on a shelf in case we ever had to go to court.
Is that Franklin Covey, right?
It's kind of like Franklin Covey, but there was a company in Vancouver that was represented by a guy that traveled the whole province, traveled the whole Western Canada, and taught people these courses. He made a fortune because to go to imagine in 1985, you know, $350 in '85. What's that today? That's like $1,000 course today.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I spent the most money I ever spent on a course in my life up until that time. Since then I've spent more, but it's $350 to take a course. But I'll tell you what, after I took that course and this guy beat this stuff into my head for a whole day, I came away with several takeaways. Number one, everything's written down. Number two, everything that isn't you've got your daily schedule, but you've also got your to-do list. Right? So the things that are on the to-do list that don't get done today, they get moved to the next day. They become the top things on tomorrow's list. Now, and the key thing that you learn if you start putting all this stuff down is you learn the difference between being effective and being efficient. The moment you get the difference between effective and efficient done, you're going to do more in a week. And it's tough. You see, everybody knows what efficient is. Very few people understand effective. So effective is being able to pick out of all the things you have to do the time frame in which it must be done, and discipline yourself not to work on something when there could be something. Like if you start working on something, it's like if I have to prepare 3 talks. Why would I want to prepare talk number 3, like chronologically? Why do I gotta do a talk next Sunday, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, at a conference in Vancouver downtown, an investment conference, which is a great conference for guys, realtors to go to. Anyway, I'm doing this talk there on a panel, and it's gonna be televised, I think. And I know I gotta prepare some stuff for that talk. But the problem is, I've got like several things to do ahead of that. So I'm not gonna do a whole bunch of work on that project until I work through some of the ones ahead of me, right? Because if I work on that project this weekend, I won't be ready for what I got to do next week. So that's the difference between being that's effective. Effective is knowing how to time slot what you have to work on. You know, if this stuff doesn't need to be done for 2 weeks, why are you working on it today? Unless there could be a good reason. But people that get, you know, we always want to do the things that we want to do, that feels good to us. And we always procrastinate the things that are tough to do. Everybody's built that way.
I've never done that.
Really?
No.
Well, you're from Langley, McLean. I mean, you know, people in Langley are blessed. You know, their brains wired right. You know.
Yeah.
So, this is the list. You know, if you've got some things you need to change or you need to do with your technology, please write it down, because now you go, okay, there's my stuff to do. How about some competencies that I need to develop? Is there some things you need to be unconsciously competent with? You know, as an example, I know that most people in the room are not unconsciously competent with certain day-to-day skills you're supposed to have in real estate. So you're not gonna get there unless you identify what it is, start to practice this stuff, okay? You know, like, when you go to, Chris, when you go to knock on 40 doors, there's a whole set of questions and answers that you're gonna encounter when you actually get a live person to the door. But most people haven't done this enough, and they don't even have the scripts written down, and they haven't practiced them. Because in real estate, as opposed to show business, the show business guys practice the day before the show and the week before the show, but realtors, we're so good, we practice in front of our customers. We're awesome. Practice with before the show? Come on, we practice right in front of the camera when we're getting paid the big bucks. And we could screw it up and lose the listing, or lose the opportunity to make the appointment. So, you know, what competencies do you need to develop? And you need to become sharp at least make a list and say, maybe I'm gonna get some help with this. So you should write down in the third section, what equipment or software training do you need to purchase? Because everybody in the room is in business. If you're in business, you should purchase everything you need to purchase before April 1st. Just because of this year, because of the change, from HST to PST. So if you're gonna buy anything, buy it between now and April. It's gonna cost you less. Yeah, if you buy it after April, it's gonna cost you more. So if you need it for your business, schedule it. Anytime money is gonna be spent, it needs to be on paper and scheduled, because you'll automatically do the wrong thing with money. That's how you've been trained. You've been trained to do the wrong things with money. And the only way you learn the right things with money is beginning to go through a process. That was the front, remember the front half of the plan, business session, where we talked about that? I can't go back there. So, how about online, internet? How could you expand your business using the internet? Every year, the internet becomes a bigger thing. So how could you expand your business this year? And what sort of things should you do? Would you like one? I'm going to give you your realtor's one. Most people don't have a total plan. So if they send out a flyer someplace, they just send out a flyer. If they give people business cards, they just give people business cards. They don't have an overall plan. Now, if you had an overall plan, everything you sent would drive people to your website. So that would be step 1 in your plan. Step 2 in your plan, how many realtors do you know that have a website that collects names? See, so you have to have a name collection mechanism on your website. You have to have an opt-in portion of your website. You cannot have an opt-in portion if you don't give something away. That's very valuable. People won't opt in. So if you do not have an opt-in box on your website, then you have no way of measuring how effective it is. If you have an opt-in box on your website and you give something away, what is your next step? Are you just kind of hoping that these people will remember you and come back? That's not going to happen. So the next step is to get those people to a meeting. So now you got to have a real valuable meeting to drive that business to. And we actually have some of those meetings right here, like once a month. So like you can actually build it all around that meeting. And I'll tell you what, when we have those meetings, when we have those buyer seminars that we do here, it'll knock the socks off of most people. Because it's not your typical buyer seminar. So when you, but I'm not saying that's the only meeting you could have. You could have other meetings. But if you drive them to a meeting, it could be a social meeting. It could be like a client party. It could be a number of things that you do. But if you get those people to a meeting, if they come to the meeting and you meet them face to face, you have just taken what was just like a nothing person and you put them through about 2 or 3 steps and you get to meet them face to face. Once you meet them face to face, now you can cultivate a relationship and eventually it'll turn into business.
I've seen Randy Dick does that really well on his Facebook page. One of the things I really liked that he did, a while ago was, they would take photographs of random places in Abbotsford, and it would be like a contest, you had to guess the photograph. So all these people, you know, nothing really to do with real estate, it could have just been a picture of a park. But everybody was, and then he would do his, the next thing you know, he'd be doing a seminar, and all those people, of course, were on this database.
I did one of the seminars for Randy. He did a seminar in Ramada about a year ago, and there was like 40 people in the room. And we transacted several pieces of business right after with some of the people in the room. And then the rest of the people, they're not necessarily ready to do something right then, but they are now ready. They're at the point where they're going, you know what, when I go to list and sell, this is who I'm dealing with. See? So like, and these are people that were just out there on the internet. So most people in the business have not got any kind of a plan. So I'm just throwing this out there. So we'll keep moving. So make a list of things, your checklist for what you need to become more confident in. And it could be just lots of things. I just got a few, you know, like for instance, you know, like most people don't carry, I'm amazed, they don't carry all their information in one place. I mean, recently, some of the mortgage brokers here were working with a guy who was helping some of the realtors. They've got some of their information on Facebook, they got some of it in Gmail, they got some of it on LinkedIn, they got some of it, you know, and the guy was helping them put it all together. Well, for years, you see, I have all my information right here. Like it used to be before we had smartphones, I used to have a Palm Pilot. I can still remember being in Safeway in a lineup and somebody calling me, and I'm trying to hook this person up with somebody else in a different part of the country, and it's a referral fee that's going to pay me over $1,500. So I'm on my Palm Pilot to find it, and I'm on my phone giving the information to the other person, right? But today I don't, you know, it's nice. We got it all right there, boom, all in one spot. So, what do you need? What technology things are in the marketplace, and what are you not doing? Make a list of it, and then the cost. What does it cost me to do this program? You can't just run out and do things without knowing the cost. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay, we're on the sheet that says listing and income goals. So this is kind of like the blow up sheet from the sheet. Remember we did the one page sheet. Some of you might not have even seen the one page sheet. Anybody not get this? Like a few people didn't get this one. Would you pass one back to somebody in the back? A couple of. So from the one page sheet on the bottom of 14, point number 14. So you're gonna do so many listings. Well, this is the breakdown. Where are you getting them from? So this is the planning sheet where you go, you know what, I'm going to do a certain number of listings that have a high probability of selling. So that's the number, and I'm going to earn this much commissions. So now my income goal for my current listings, because you might be starting with certain things, will be, this is my goal. So my listing goal from past clients. So where am I gonna, how much business am I gonna get from past clients? How many listings am I gonna get from friends? What's my listing goal from realtor referrals? So once you start breaking it down, now you go, okay, I'm not just trying to get 24 listings. You know, 24 listings is like shooting things with a shotgun. I'm gonna get 24 listings. Where the heck am I gonna get them from? So now we gotta dig down and figure out where am I gonna get those listings from. As an example, let me just give you an example, number 5. My listing goals from realtor referrals. See, every year I think to myself, okay, how many listings can I get from realtors all across Canada? And so I go, you know, I probably could get, I'd probably get 4 listings. You know, 2 to 4 listings from other realtors referring business to me. So what's my, so then I'd have to dig out a plan, but I first have to identify. So on this sheet, I'm identifying what I'm gonna do. Now I have to go further than that, further into the plan, and say, okay, these are some of the things I will do. So I'm just gonna jump ahead and tell you that if I'm gonna get 4 listings, referrals from realtors across Canada, and let's say I'm gonna get 4 buyer referrals, because I've got a buyer section coming up, so there's 8. I gotta make sure that when I show up at the conference in Calgary, because it's probably one of the best places to go, at the RE/MAX conference in Calgary, there's gonna be 750 realtors there. These are going to be the top agents from all across Western Canada, some from Eastern Canada, and some from the States. So it's my one chance where it's the lowest cost to me to go meet with the best realtors. And can I meet with all 750 of them? No. But I know, because I've been doing this for years, I'm going to have 150 really good conversations. And I'll knock it out of the park with just 150. So I mean, for 3 days, I have to meet people all the time. I just have to keep going. And I always bring something the realtors are gonna take away with them. See, that's another thing. I bring something that it's gonna be different than everybody else's, and they're gonna remember me. But I also know that I'm gonna have another 150. I'm not gonna be able to have a conversation with them, but I'll have enough time to give them just my card. So I'm not gonna quite get half the conference, but it's gonna be a big enough. It's one of my biggest work weekends of the year, and I've been doing this for years. Okay, and if you do it consistently year after year, you are gonna see that you could, from those realtors all across Canada. I've already been paid this year 5 referral checks. The largest one was $3,500. Some people aren't gonna make $3,500 on a single side commission. I got a referral check from Toronto for $3,500. I have 5 referrals this year, 2 from Toronto, 2 from Kamloops, 1 from, I can't remember where the other one's from off the top of my head. Anyways, at least 5 referral checks so far this year because of that system. So I've identified it. And then there's your for sale by owner program, your expired listing program. None of these things are, there is no one single thing that is your whole business. And some of these things may be just a sliver. It's just a sliver. It's not a lot. But like I'll tell you what, if you drive by a home that's where the guy's trying to sell it yourself, and the only reason you wouldn't stop and talk to him is what? What would be the only reason you don't stop and talk to him?
Fear.
Fear, number one, which when people are, so, and what's the reason you're afraid?
Rejection.
Well, what's the reason you think you're going to get rejected? How many times have you ever done this? Do you know exactly what to do? Do you know the conversations you should have? So if you have none of that information, you are right to be afraid. Because you're just going to show up there and go, you know, and try to speak Chinese or something, you know, or, you know, or Korean or something, you know, like, I mean, what are you going to do? So, is that something that you should identify, how to talk to all homeowners? What should be the conversation? Because the moment you realize that you should develop those competencies, you're going to soon find this out. Let me tell you the secret. The secret is, there's a core conversation that you have with everybody. So it's not like you're having a different conversation with everybody. There is a core part of the conversation that you have with everybody, and you got to master that. Then what you have to learn how to do is to segue into that core part of the conversation. So every homeowner that I ever meet, I have a core conversation I'm going to have. I have to master that. So I drive by a FSBO. How do I get to that core conversation? I just knock on his door and I go, "Hey, how you doing? What's your name?" "Chris." "Chris, I'm Ray." I said, "I'm a realtor, but the reason I stopped was because my manager, Dave Rochelle, Dave's looking for people that want to get into the business full time. Are you thinking about maybe not just selling this house, but getting into the business full time?" Really? So you're like, you're just selling this one home then? Is that what you're doing? Just this one home you're selling? Really? So how's it going? Like, how many offers have you had, Chris?
None.
Are you kidding me? Because that's a really nice sign you got there. See, so you know, the conversation just I can dig this whole conversation up because I've had it hundreds of times. And eventually, I'm going to get to the core part of the conversation. See, I'm just segueing. But I know all the questions to ask him because I've rehearsed them and done them so many times. And when I get to the core part of the conversation is going to go just like, "So like, how did you determine the value in your home?" Well, he's going to tell me, but you know, that his friend told him, or he heard that the house across the street was listed for, you know, $300,000 over the market, and he thought, well, if that guy could list it for that, then I should do the same thing. He's going to tell me the same nonsense that anybody else tells me that doesn't know what they're doing. So I go into the core thing and I say, you know, I offer it if I could help him. And there's only 2 questions there's only 2 ways he's gonna answer that question. I've never had one of them say, "Ray, I don't want your help at all." So
Really?
no is not gonna be an option.
Visible, eh?
Yeah, no is never gonna be an option. The options are gonna be, I don't want you to help me today, or I want you to help me later. It's not, no, I don't want you to help me at all. I've never had one of them go, Ray, I don't need pros like you. You know, I don't need guys that come around me that sell this, that do this for a living, that are really good at it. You know, I don't want anybody around me that could bring me multiple offers and get me, you know, hard or what, you know, to really get, release my equity, help me do what, I don't wanna know people like that. I've never had one of them yet. The only question they have is, well, Ray, I don't know if I can afford you. And so all I gotta explain to them is like, I don't know how you think you can afford not to. Anybody that's concerned about affording, the only question to ask them is, can they afford not to? See, they just have an exact, nobody's dug this down with them. So, that's a little side thing. I'll do a whole section on it if you want, okay? But now, if you build out that sheet, listing and income sheet, if you build a sheet out, like, and actually, if you got the sheet in front of you, you should be scratching some numbers, come on. You should be scratching some numbers because now you should be able to get a picture. If you cannot get a picture of the commissions you're gonna earn next year on a piece of paper, it is not gonna happen for you, including the mortgage brokers. Like, you have to figure out, okay, this is how I'm gonna build my business out. And you can take any one of these things and customize it for another business. But you gotta have a number on paper that you're gonna earn before you earn it. If you haven't got the guts to put it on paper, it's not gonna happen for you. So scratch something out, put it on paper, and then when I say the total listings that I will sell will be this many, to achieve my income goal from the listing side of my business to be this much. See, this is just the listing side of your business. And if you're new, you have not, there's no way you would have dug out all the different categories from which you could have got the business. And if you've been in the business for a while, I can tell you that some of those categories you could dig them deeper. Whoa, keep moving. So now we're gonna go a little faster because I've given you a whole sheet. I've given you a whole sheet to figure out, okay, what do I need to do for my past clients? And you need a whole sheet for your past clients. So, because your past clients should be a major chunk of your business. Okay? So, let me give you the basics for the past clients. And you might want to write this down. But for your past clients, they need to get something from you every week. So if you already know these people and done business with you, sorry, did I say every week? I meant every month.
Item of value.
They need something once a month from you. Okay? So they gotta get something from you once a month. Then the second thing is they have to hear your voice once a quarter. So 4 times a year, you gotta talk to them. And then twice a year, they've gotta actually see you. So they, so when they hear rumors, cause you see, like, if you become successful, now you have to deal with all the negative stuff that people will create about you. See? You think you're gonna do this business in a vacuum, and then you realize that the more successful you become, you're gonna create a lot of people around you who are gonna be always saying negative things or lies about you. People will say, oh no, Kurt's not around anymore, he's moved to Hawaii. He's living in Yenkana now. I heard Kurt went to the Okinawan, I mean, just where he's from, I think he moved back then. You still thinking about calling Kurt or Kurt? No, I think he's gone. He's in the Okinawan, he's gone. He's not here anymore. They'll say all kinds of things. I heard he's away in Africa on a 3-week extended stay, and you need to list his house, and you're thinking about calling Kurt. No, I wouldn't even call him. He's gone. Not here.
Too busy counting.
Yeah, I heard he made a pile of money this year, and he's not even interested in little people like you anymore. See, so that's why you have to be proactive. And people go, if somebody says nonsense, they go, I know what you're talking about. I get some from Ray every month, or he calls me every. At least if you call him 4 times a year, they're gonna think you call him every month. Okay. Now, and if they see you twice a year, now I'm gonna tell you this is the most powerful thing. That if you develop this, I did this and it was unbelievable even to me. So what I did was I put my face in everybody's head.
That's mean.
It's unbelievable. I've got a face like this. So, matter of fact, I did it so well, I would have people phone me up and they'd say, Ray, you know that sign with your face on it, the one over there on 100th Avenue. How much is that property? I never ever had my face on a sign. Ever. But I fielded hundreds of calls. And I never argued. So I'd say, you know, I got a few signs on 100th. Oh yeah, that's true. Well, 100 of the corner of 90th. Okay, that property. Okay, good. I can talk to you about that property. I get these calls all the time. People go, Ray, I got. One time, I had a tailgate that I had all covered in Remax paraphernalia, balloons and stuff. Tailgate of a black truck, so I had all this nice blue stuff, and against the black, it looked really sharp. So I started getting phone calls. So one of you guys that know me, they phone me up and go, Ray, that's a really nice tailgate. And I said, what do you like about it? Oh, we just like to see your smiling face when we're driving behind you. I said, really? So I had this one guy, he was in my office telling me this, and I said, so let me ask you a question. I said, what side of the trunk is my face on the tailgate? Is it on the left or the right? He goes, it's on the left-hand side. I said, really? I said, come, let me show you something. Come with me. Let's humor me. So we go out of the building in the parking lot and show him the truck. He goes, did you take your face off of there? Was it magnetic? Because it was on there. It was on there when he drove behind me. So you know how I did this? I did this by, they heard from me every month. They heard my voice 4 times a year. They saw me at least twice a year. And so every time they see my name, they see my face in their head. When you do this, then you've captured your past client database. And you could do this if you were consistent. Now I'll give you a little thing about how to be consistent in a big place like Langley or Surrey. If you're serious about this, about staying in touch with your past clients, you will literally take the map of the whole area you work in. You blow the map down into 8.5 by 11 pages and hole punch them and put them in a book. And on each page, if you have the people you know, you will put red dots on the map. And then you have a legend that explains what, whose name is with each one of those places. So that you would never ever go into their neighborhood without stopping and talking to them, physically. That is so easy to do. Because you're going to be in and out of those neighborhoods anyway, doing something else. So now, but here's the thing. This is not for 20th century people. Those 20th century guys, from the last century, they want to have a real estate office or a mortgage office or any kind of an office where they have 4 walls they go and sit in. This is not for them. Those are dinosaurs. Like it's arrogance. It's arrogance to think that I work for this company, the Royal Bank or Remax, and people are just going to know that I work there and they're going to come and see me when they need business. That is the height of arrogance.
Right. Arrogance.
You got to get off your ass and go to the people. And the moment you decide, you know what, I'm serious about this, and I'm going to build a system to make it easy for you. Now, I'm as lazy as the next guy, if not worse. So most of my systems were designed around my laziness. Like, I'm the laziest guy. Like, I grew up in South America. I swam every day on the beach, like 5 o'clock in the morning. Every morning, my dad and I, we went to the beach, we swam. We went to the fisherman, bought fish. We stopped at the bakery, bought bread, went home. Mom made us a little fried fish and bread for breakfast, right? And I didn't really want to go to school. I got buddies I could be playing soccer, cricket all day. Why would I want to go to school? But I had to go to school. So, I grew up kind of like a lazy way of growing up. It was awesome. So I'm still lazy to this day. So every time I realize I got to do a whole bunch of stuff, I got to figure out the easiest way to do it. So if I'm already in that neighborhood and I need to do a Popeye, I just have my manual open up, boom, I better stop and see These, you know, I could be right across the street, right around the corner. And it doesn't matter if they're home. Cause I'm not going in. I'm not having coffee with them. I'm just stopping, knocking on the door. If they're home, I'm in the neighborhood, stop and say hello, how are things going? Haven't talked to you guys for a while. If they're not home, out comes my best sales tool I ever had. My notepad with my name and my face. Out comes the notepad and I go, "Hi McLean, stopped to see you guys today. Hope everything's going good. Give me a shout sometime. Looking, you know, like to have coffee with you." The notepad goes in the mailbox, and they come home and they go, "Ray was here." That guy's unbelievable. That guy's unbelievable. I just can't believe him. He sends us stuff every week. They think that, you see, I said weekly, but I'm only sending them monthly. Pretty soon they go, he's sending us stuff every week.
Yeah, right.
They go from monthly, in their mind, they go to weekly perception. But you know what happens? What happens is I help them, because if I list something in their neighborhood and I send out a just listed card, they actually think I sent it to them personally. They do not know the difference between bulk mail. The typical layperson does not know the difference. They go, "Ray, you're always sending us stuff." I don't know how many people told me that. "Ray, you're always sending us stuff." So there's your, you know, like, you gotta build out a plan. Now the part of the plan I didn't mention was the twice a year they gotta see your face. Let me show you, the simplest way to do that is to have 2 client parties. Like, you gotta figure out the easy way how to do this. There's just no way. Do not take what I say and figure out the most difficult way to do it. Let's figure out the easiest way to do it. So 2 client parties a year. You know, the simplest client party that I've helped people do, and some people that I've helped still do it to this day. The simplest one is you go down to the local arena. You rent the arena between Christmas and New Year's. It's the best time. Guess why? Because everybody is just looking for something to do to get everybody out of the house and get away from eating goodies, and it's cheap to cater. Actually, Randy does this one. See, I suggest this, and he does this every year. Because it works so well the first time, he just can't even believe it. So you rent the arena, like, I mean, you can rent an arena. It's like ridiculous. Anybody know the price? For about 2 to 3 hours, you can rent that arena for like $300. It's cheap. It's unbelievable. Like $300.
What kind of an arena?
Any local arena. You don't have to have a huge arena. The local little arenas, like in Abbotsford, it's
like a skating arena?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. A skating arena, skating party. So you have a nice skating party between Christmas and New Year's. Invite everybody.
Cool.
You got a bunch of hot chocolate and you say to some of your clients, "If you got any, who wants to bring some goodies?" Well, there's lots of women that have tons of leftover baking. You know, most women in Canada bake too much, don't they? They're just sitting around. So everybody brings a little some baking, and if you want to buy some other baking, or you know, if your house has too much baking, or you know, whatever. So you got a couple of big tubs of hot chocolate, and there's the simplest client meeting that you can have. I mean,
Pumpkin patch was popular this year, a couple.
Pumpkin patch at Halloween.
That's cheap too.
You know, like there's usually 2 or 3 family movies that get released a year. You could rent. A buddy of mine, Ron Cosell, who's a Remax 2000. Ron and I knew each other when we were teenagers in Montreal, going to college. But Ron does this the movie thing. He does the movie thing twice a year. He said the first year I started, you know, Ray, it was tough. I was lucky if I had 75 people there. Now he fills the theater. So now it's like 350 to 400 people that come. They don't miss his movies. And he does them two movies a year.
How does he do that? He rents.
You rent the movie theater, and you rent the theater for a flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
So you get some tickets made up.
It's quite cheap to rent the one in Cloverdale.
Yeah.
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 So usually they do them in the like morning runs, like so they're not in the prime time when the other.
Exactly.
So it'll be Saturday morning at
Exactly.
10 o'clock in the morning, and it's great.
Exactly.
Free
Nobody
popcorn.
turn on you Saturday morning.
So, like, you know, like if you gotta have a plan for listings from past clients, there it is. And now you gotta, now I gave you a sheet to build out a plan from friends, and I gave you a little bit of a build out of a plan for realtor referrals. You know, my realtor referrals was such a big deal for me. I've got this little philosophy, and if you get it, it's like this. The philosophy is, there's 2 groups of people that are gonna give me commissions this year. number one is realtors. That's the biggest group. The condo I sold, the one I just told you about, I sold yesterday, that we're working on. Who brought me that offer? Another realtor. So when you realize that realtors are your number one, realtors are my number one source of business, I always talk real nice to realtors. Invite them to everything that that I can invite them to, or take care of them, right? Because they give me business. Hello, mortgage brokers, did you hear what I just said? I'm a realtor, and I'm saying my number one source for business is realtors. If I was a mortgage broker, that would be like times how much for Sue? Like times 5? Like times 5? Like, I mean, I think that realtors are my number one source. What do you guys think? Okay. My number 2 source of business is my past clients. My number 3 source would be, and I've worked down the list, right? So then that's how you prioritize. Why do you think I have a system to stop and see the people I know? I got a system so that I can stop and see them. Ask my wife. She goes, my system actually extends all across the country. So if I'm gonna go to Montreal, before I get to Montreal in about 2 weeks, I've already phoned a whole bunch of people and lined up meetings with them. And I'm not actually doing any business in Montreal, but I'm gonna go see all the people I know if I can. Because guess what? Those people I know that's where I got some of my referral checks this year from Toronto. Because I take the time to go see certain people in Toronto. And I explained to them, if you go to ever buy or sell real estate, raise an expert, you should call me first. I can help you out. Refer you to the right people. So there's how you need to build out your plan for your realtor, what you're gonna do for them, what you're gonna do for your friends. I got a whole page for you to build out your visible plan. Got a page in there for visibles, because you know what? I don't know what it is, but I would say in this area, if you got four a year, 4 a year is totally doable. It's not a big chunk of your business, but there's 4 a year. But to get 4 a year, you never drive by one. You're not going to get it if you drive by.
Right, you gotta stop it.
You're not going to stop in unless you come to, you say, Ray, would you mind doing that seminar for Fizzles? And I'll do it. I'll show you every script. I'll give you every script and every dialogue you need to know. It's all in my head.
Let's do it next week.
Yeah, well, you have to talk to Rebecca. She's already got stuff.
Pencil it in, bro.
She's already got, I mean, Fizzbos are so easy. They're unbelievable. Fizzbos are people that are raising their hands and are going, I need to sell my house, and I'm a do-it-yourselfer, and I don't mind losing money, and I don't mind paying commission to unlicensed people, and I'm basically really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. You know, like backyard mechanics, or you know, guys are going to change their own furnace and blow the house up. You know, there's just these kinds of people out there. You know, they just don't get it. I'm going to install my own fireplace, burn the house down while I'm doing it, and that'll be okay. Yeah, that's all there. So you got to have a plan for them. Is it 10:40? Jeez, we better have a break.
You're on a roll, Ray.
Great, awesome.
Okay, we're gonna roll. We're gonna start. Okay, I'm gonna move past business plan for listings, other than okay, I can't skip certain things. Like for instance, we're on this page that says this is kind of like a summary page. So what's my business plan for my listing? So my marketing plan for my listing will be, okay, like so some people actually have a marketing plan right now where they're using the real marketing people. Some people might have a marketing plan where they're using a monthly, not personalized mailer, but a monthly statistical package to townhouse complexes. Like there's so many marketing things you could do. Like there's people in the office doing some things, I'm just telling you about it. There's some people in the office that are doing a personalized high-end piece that costs them about $2 a piece. And they're sending it to a minimum of 350 homes. And one of the two of the realtors in the office that sent their first piece in Cloverdale, they got a listing and they made a sale out of it on their first mailer. So the piece cost them about $700 and some dollars. They committed to like $750 to $800 a month. They committed to. On their first mailer, they took a listing in Cloverdale, which would the listing side would be close to $10,000.
Okay, so they made
See, the listing side, and then they're gonna sell them something in White Rock, and the selling side will be close to $10,000. So they're happy, okay? Now, Kurt will tell you, he's in the same program, and he hasn't made a penny yet, and he's in his third mailing. So it doesn't all work that way, so, you know, just so you know it, but you gotta plan it. But there's other things you could do. So for instance, there's other people in the office. I'm gonna tell you just stuff that people are doing that I would do. There's somebody else in the office, there's a program available where for about 65 cents a piece, you could send a it's not the highest quality, but it's good quality color. This is the size of it. It's 8.5 by 11 folded in half. And so the front of the cover is personalized, not to the people, but to the complex. So it's a picture of the complex, and then when you open it up, the inside cover is your stuff, and the right-hand side is all the statistical sales and listing data for that complex. And you could commit to a program like that, which would cost you 65 cents a piece, and the minimum would be 500 pieces. So like for about $300 and some a month, you put a piece like that into 500 townhomes. That would be where you would do it. So the average townhome in the area is about what, 350?
Three to 350.
Maybe,
Yeah, 3 to 350. So you know you're spending about half the money, but you're also in a neighborhood where the prices are half as much, so the return is going to be less. Okay, but the output's less. So to me, it's a great program. But these are things you've got to buy. Oh yeah, I have
This is
some.
relative.
See, like that'd be what the program looks like.
Yeah.
That's the 700.
No, this is like 500 pieces for about 65 cents a piece with your stuff on it. The other stuff that I was talking to you about is probably more. There's a whole program that goes with it, and there's a guy in the office who actually coordinates some of that for himself and for other people. I'm not trying to push the program, I'm just saying that you should have some stuff going on. Because a good marketing piece will leverage yourself. Like in our business, we need a little leverage. So I mean, just to give you a simple example of how I did it, because I already have to send a piece to every one of my past clients in my database every month, when the printer's printing the piece I'm sending, or like I'm sending a newsletter with some flyers is what I did. A newsletter and 2 flyers, 2-sided. So I just get them to print some extra flyers, fold them, and have them bulk delivered to at least 1,000 homes. See, now I did that program and it paid me 10 times return. So for every dollar I spent, I got $10 back. Now, I'll tell you this, if you're printing stuff for a group of people, like say you're printing stuff for your database, the extra printing that you do something else with is not costing you what it costs you to print the first. In other words, the first 1,000 pieces you print, the second 1,000 is cheaper. It's always that way with printers. So you gotta learn how to capitalize on the way they do business, and just make it work for you. So like you gotta come up with a plan. So my marketing plan for all my listings will be, and then the other thing, part of your plan should be to maintain only saleable listings. See, in the beginning you're talking, you know, here's the deal. You're always taking information from general to specific. So in the beginning you're going, you know what, I'm gonna have this many listings, but you only can have saleable listings. You cannot afford to have listings that aren't gonna sell. And just to give you just to tell you what my stat was I took over 100 listings a year, and 97% of them sold. So my list to sell ratio was always 97% over 15 years. So only 3 out of 100 are not gonna sell. Now that's not gonna happen by magic. That's gonna happen through learning the skills that you have to communicate, putting systems in place to help keep communicating that information to the sellers, so that eventually you never start something you're not going to finish. That's what I explain that to people. They say, Ray, how long have we been listening for? I say, well, I'm going to tell you right now, my sign doesn't go on the ground and then leave. Just so you know. Like if you want to try out a realtor, I'm not the guy. Imagine trying to try out Andrew. It's not going to happen. See, Andrew's one. I've been working on that boy since he was this knee height of a grasshopper. So now that he's fully grown, you're not going to try him out. He's going to go, I'm doing this, or I'm not doing it. If you wanna try somebody else for 3 months, go ahead, I'll come back in 3 months. So if I take the listing, it's gonna have the right amount of time in it, it's gonna have the right pricing. If it doesn't have the right pricing when I start, it's gonna have the right pricing 2 months, 3 months into the deal. Okay, if the motivation is high. So these are all the things you have to identify what you're gonna do. If you don't identify what you're gonna do with the plan, it's not gonna happen. So what's your listing communication package look like? So get it all drawn out. And then every time you draw out a plan, there has to be a benefit for you. Like if you don't see the benefit, you see now the benefit, let me help you with the benefit. If I achieve my listing goal, I will receive the following result. The result should be like a picture. Roy, if you achieve your goal, will you take a trip back to Fiji? Well, why don't you put the picture right there? See what, you know, or if you achieve the result of what you're trying to do, are you gonna maybe go to Disneyland? Take the family on a cruise, whatever, you know, whatever it is you're gonna do, that's actually what should be at the bottom of, you know, if I get this done, this is what how we're rewarding ourselves. Because if you do not have that emotional, fun tie-in, you are gonna get bogged down in details. So now, this page is you need to have something like this up on your wall, or the back of your bathroom door, or on the mirror where you're getting yourself made up, right? So, here's my goal, here's what actually happened. Now, the purpose of this sheet, this is where you go public in front of the whole family, or the team. You see, there has to be some kind of a visual, and you have to look at it, and you have to have other people look at it, and then you go, I do suck. I suck this month, I suck this month, I suck this month. How long can you go along sucking? You know what I'm saying? At some point you go, you know what, I can't suck my way through the whole year. That's what the purpose of that sheet is. The purpose of the sheet is to get the numbers up in front of everybody, so you go, so people are going, you know, behind your back, you're going, I think Ray sucks, look at him. I can't believe the guy did nothing in January. He said he was gonna do 5, did nothing. You put this up in public, and your whole business will change. Like, there should be one at home, so all the kids can go, so Dad, you said you were gonna do 5 sales, you did 2. So how are you gonna fix that? Like, does that mean our trip to Disneyland's not gonna happen? Like, if my production affects everybody else in the family, do we have a problem here?
Yeah.
We've got a problem here. Okay? Now, this sheet will change your business if you figure out how to do it. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't do it this way. This is just to get the concept, okay? Now, the way I did it was, I have a thermometer. Matter of fact, if you go to Ben's office, go to Randy's office, go to several guys' offices over there, you'll see my thermometer. Because they all figured out the thermometer works the best. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's what I used to do. Those guys are all doing it, it seems to work for them. So I have this thermometer, and it's got a line down the center, and it's got 2 colors of mercury coming up, right? And it's got lines across it. And so every time we do a sale, we fill in a color, and the line comes out, and we put the name right there, the name of the people involved in the transaction. So, you know, depending on your business, in the real estate business, we're gonna have one side is listings and the other side is sales. And sometimes it's the same thing, sometimes it's maybe a double ender, right? But then you got 2 sets of names anyway. See what I'm saying? So you every time you think you've got a good plan, I challenge you to put it onto one piece of paper. You see, the sign of genius is not to be complicated, that you have a whole manual. The sign of genius is to be able to take the most complicated things and reduce it down to the simplest form. That's genius. So if you can take the whole thing, put it down into one form, get it out in the open. See, in the back of my door for years, I kicked butt for years. You know, imagine doing over 100, my average 100 transactions a year for over 15 years. The worst year was 50 transactions. I mean, there's guys in the office who, the top guy in our office today, just so you know, top single agent in our office, not team, top single agent in the office year to date hasn't done 40 transactions. He's the #1 guy. I never had a bad year like that until I started selling part-time. But the moment I was selling full-time, it was over 50 transactions, worst year. So, I'm just saying, there's lots of room to improve. I mean, the top guy's pretty happy, but he hasn't done 40 deals, year to date. He'll probably break 40, he might even be close to 50 by the end of the year. But, so you gotta come up with a visual where you can, does that make sense? Okay, so we're gonna fly as best I can, because we're gonna run out of time, right, Rebecca? So, you basically, if you're gonna stay in the business, now you need a plan for your buyers. So the best buyers you're ever gonna have are your past clients. So you gotta, you know, so it's not like you got 2 plans for past clients, it's 1 plan, but you gotta figure out how many of my past clients are actually gonna buy. You see, people think, people didn't realize it for years. I was actually like, once I had the plan, it's like you're cheating. People go, like, raise up with buyers. I didn't think you worked with buyers. No, I only work with buyers that have lots of money. And if they're a past client and they got their home sold, the subjects are off, we're gonna go buy something today. Today is a good day. And typically when I have a buyer that I'm gonna work with that's got the money and everything's approved and it's all good to go, it's gonna take me a maximum of 2 days to have them on paper. But I'm trying to have them on paper at the first show. Just so you know. I'm not trying to drag this out all day, because everybody else on my team is waiting for me to get it done. Like all the mortgage brokers are going like, Ray, where's the contract? You know, where's the stuff? I got everybody ready to go. So you got to build out a plan for your buyers from your past client base. Referrals from your friends. So now let me just help you here with referrals from friends. You get a referral from a friend. What you want to do is reward the behavior. You know, we learned that in the Buffini course. So you immediately, like, I'll give you an example of one the other day. I had a referral from a friend. So I immediately got a card out, thank you card, and I put in a nice gift certificate from Earl's, or from some nice restaurant I know they like to go to. And when they get that, they're just so blown away. They're like, wow. Okay, so anytime somebody sends you a referral, it's an instant. You got to have a system in place, so so you don't miss it. This is what happens. You get a thank you note, you get some kind of a blessing, right? Some kind of a gift. Now, when the deal closes and you get paid, that's when the second gift shows up. I'll tell you the little secret on the gifts to generate more business. I never deliver my gifts in private. So, for instance, if I'm at a business networking event, I'm at one every week, so I had to bring a gift to one of the gals in the room there. Well, we built this thing so big, it would have been ridiculous to bring it into the room. So I asked her, I said, Jerry, I said, can I borrow the key to your vehicle? I get there early, I get Jerry's key, I go down to her, what do you want my key for? I said, I'm putting something in your vehicle for you. Well, you should have heard her the next meeting, right? She gets up and tells everybody, she said, I can't believe what Ray put in my truck last week, and it was just like, she throws that out in front of everybody, right? Does that generate more referrals?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you, this was my favorite one. I used to do this all the time. Anytime I did a deal with people that had a big office, like utility companies, like the hydro guys, the gas company, or wherever they have a big office, I show up with this huge basket to the girls at the front desk. Is Dave in? No, Ray, Dave's out he's in the field. I said, well, what can I do with this? Well, can I put this on his desk? Yeah. Can I, where is it? Just back there. So I marched through the whole office with this big basket, right? I put it on Dave's desk. And then, of course, the girls at the front desk of any office always need pens and notepads. So you always come armed with your pens and your notepads. Leave them the pens and notepads so they know how to call you, so you could be their realtor, because they were out there doing that. So, but if you don't have a plan, and you don't have it down to a science, right? It's like, here's another little thing that I started doing recently, and that is, every time we get an accepted offer. So we get an accepted offer, the other people are stressed. I show up the other night to get the final initials on a contract. It's just an accepted offer. That's all it is. But I know when I show up, these kids, I mean, they're just beat up. They go, Ray, I don't know how you do this stuff. I said, that's why I brought you a bottle of wine. So I throw a bottle of wine in their hand. They're just like, thanks, Ray, we needed that. Okay, we just got an accepted offer. But guess what? He's the same guy that's picking up the strata documents and they're paying for them. it's not even an issue. Bottle of wine, $125 for a strand of documents, you know, like, just do the math on this. Wait till you see the closing gift. You see the closing, I don't wanna show up at a closing gift and ever have it in my life that somebody goes, well, Ray's gift was good, but this one was unbelievable. No, I want them to be going, this gift is good, but remember the gift we got from Ray?
Any ideas on,
How's your gift?
Yeah.
yeah, how much do you spend, like, do you have a system,
I have a system. See, so the first thing that is what I don't do. So when I first started giving gift baskets years ago, I went to a coffee shop, and I gave this gal, I told her what I wanted, and she consistently did something wrong. So what she consistently did was she put her big card or advertising in my gift basket. I don't mind a little card about your coffee shop tucked away, but if you screw with my gift basket by thinking this is your way of advertising your business, that was number one. Number two, she filled the whole gift basket full of straw. And I'm paying really good money for the gift basket, right? And I probably did more than 100 baskets out of that store.
Wow.
Before I decided that we would build our own basket building business in our house. So, you know, when you're doing over 100 deals a year, it's all of a sudden you go, this is crazy. I'll make a trip to Edmonton once a year. I was up north. I make a trip to Edmonton, buy 200 baskets, buy all the cellophane, buy all the stuff, right, from the stores. And then I said, here's what my wife knows. My wife knows my baskets don't have filler. The filler is stuff that kids can eat. I say, my filler is actually stuff that they're gonna use, so there's nothing in my basket that's not edible. And I got the biggest basket with several bottles of wine and all kinds of goodies. Okay, plus my ceramic mugs, and plus my coffee cups, plus my whatever I think I should put in there, plus my barbecue apron, or whatever, right? And then
Barbecue apron.
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Terrific.
I mean, I can't tell you the barbecue apron story today, but there's a whole story behind why I have the barbecue apron. Okay, so there's the friend referral program.
It's awesome.
Okay, business plan for buyers. Let's keep on moving. We gotta move through this thing, don't we, Rebecca? Kick it up. Rebecca's just looking at me, Ray. Kick it up. Yeah, moving. Okay, realtor referrals. Okay, we talked a little bit about that. It's kind of like the same thing we talked about on the listing side that you're doing with realtors so you get buyers. I just sold one of manager's listings, $660,000 up on Eagle Mountain, and the deal closed yesterday. I mean, they moved in yesterday, and that was a realtor referral. No, sorry, it wasn't a realtor. It was a friend referral. It was a friend referral. But I mean, it could have been a realtor just as easily a realtor referral. It was a friend referral. Came out of Edmonton. So these people are coming out of Edmonton. I get the referral call. I'm only going to sell like 4 homes this year. 3 or 4 homes. That's all I'm going to sell. But how do I want it to happen? I want it to happen the easiest way possible. I don't have the time to do that anymore, right? So, you know, I'm going to sell several commercial buildings, but homes, I'm only going to sell a few. So I want it to happen by referral if I can make it happen. Open house program. Open house program for buyers. I mean, here's the deal. I can't imagine that you're going to be in the real estate business and not do open houses. Do you know that more than half the office does not have an open house program? I would say 75% of the realtors in our office do not have an open house program. And you're in real estate? Really?
Wow.
You're kidding me, right? Like, are you frickin' brain dead? Like, you need to have a program to make this happen. I had more open houses than any realtor where I live, and I never sat one of them, hardly.
Right.
See, I never sat the open houses, but I had the program in place. I ran the open house. I got people to sit my opens, and I did what Chris is going to do this afternoon. Chris is going to go and talk to 40 homeowners next to the open house. So build it out. See, and he doesn't even know the scripts yet, but he's just doing it because he's fearless. The moment I show him, the moment we help him with the scripts, he'll be deadly. It'll be deadly. You talk to 40, I used to talk to 50 homeowners every Friday afternoon, and 3 or 4 of them would say, Ray, I want you to help me. Maybe not next week, but the people that you talk to in the fall, I would list their homes in January, February, boom. I met these people just by inviting them to my open house. It's totally rejection proof. But you can build out a plan. Just quite frankly, there's realtors. I know realtors that their whole business is open houses. They haven't, if they saw the rest of my plan, they'd go, Ray, I can't do that. I'm not even gonna do that. Matter of fact, there's realtors, we know a couple of them. They come to work here and it's tough when the market's down. They haven't built out a past client business. That is really the business. They've actually just done things like open house. But this is, open house is a small part of your business, you should build it up. Okay, advertising. I'm just gonna say 2 quick things about advertising. I just help one of the gals in the office yesterday. She's getting ready. You know they have these people that make a living off of realtors decorating their cards up and make them look pretty? Okay? Let me help you before you get stung by these folks. Let me help you. There's only 2 kinds of advertising. There's only 2 kinds of marketing pieces. And what these people do, they do a wonderful job of one kind. So the one kind of marketing piece that most people, that's what everybody has. It's called institutional advertising. So I don't care how good looking you are. Like this gal in my office, she is a knockout. Mary Tess. You seen Mary Tess's pictures? Oh, smokers is she gorgeous. I told her yesterday, I said, Mary Tess, these white girls are gonna have real trouble with you because she's, Mary Tess is Filipino and she's drop dead gorgeous, right? And she's got some nice color, I mean, she just looks gorgeous. I said, Mary Tess, the white girls are gonna have trouble with you doing all this stuff. You're just too good looking. And I said, but all your stuff that this gal's doing for you is all institutional advertising. So institutional advertising accomplishes this. It tells people who you are and how to get a hold of you. And who cares? So the other kind of advertising, which you can marry the 2 together. So if you have a card or a marketing piece, it can be both things. So the second side of your piece has to be a direct response. So it's got to get people's attention. It's got to have a headline. It's got to have intriguing stuff that you've got to disturb people. You've got to intrigue them. They go, I wonder how that works. And you've only got a few seconds. Matter of fact, it's got to be so good. It's got to be so good that you never give the card with the institutional side up. That is the test. The test of the piece is you leave it out, like you can do this at trade shows and in parties. You can even do it just handing your card to people. Once you know how this works, you will always hand it with a direct response up. And if it isn't good, they don't care where it came from. But if they read it and they go, gee, wow, watch it, they'll turn it over. You hand it with the institutional side up, nobody turns it over. Because they just assume you're the same as everybody else. So that's my thought. That's a whole session. Like Rebecca, we run a session, like 2 or 3 set parts. We run a marketing thing that some of you may have come to parts of it, but come and I'll show you how to design and develop pieces that get direct response. I ran pieces for years that made the phone ring. So I'd have a piece in the paper and people would just make the phone ring.
That's
Institutional. Yeah. Is it institutional?
Yeah. Well, no, he's got the experience you want.
Right.
Is the piece that you present.
But you could dig that down. You could dig that down so much deeper. But he's on the right track. It's really hard for people. It's really hard for realtors to do this. I used to have pieces of paper, and Bill's seen some of them. The phone would just ring off the hook. Yeah. My assistant would say to me, I would design 4 or 5 a year, and sometimes we'd only use 2. Because we'd start in January, and by July the phone's still ringing off the same ad. So the phone's still ringing. I was hesitant to change it. It was working. It was working. People would just phone. People I didn't even know would phone me. So that's what you need to have a budget. You also need to develop the skills. There's a lot of things you can do here, right?
Is that a topic for one of
Yes,
those meetings?
that is a topic for one of the meetings, and I'll tell you right now. Most business people, most people that are running a small business, everything they do is institutional. Imagine what would happen if you put some direct response into what you're doing. It'd be huge.
That's like the Simon Sinek why.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Exactly.
connecting on a different level.
It's getting people. Here's the attitude. You want to know how simple this is? But the market was really slow most of my life, so I don't have a business that's market driven. The market's only been busy in British Columbia for about 3 or 4 years in the last 25 years. It's been flatter down the rest of the time. So the majority of the business is always in a flat or down market. It's rare to be in an up market. That's rare. So I had this one little ad that I read, and it said this: do you need your home sold now? And then it was the font as well as what I said. So it wasn't just the way I said it, it was the font as well. So the font, you gotta get the right font for what you're trying to say. Do you need to get your home sold now? And all I had, the punchline was, Ray understands. Ray understands that you need to sell now. That was it. That ad probably got me over 25 listings in less than 6 months. See, most people, 25 listings is what they're gonna do all year. But for years, I took over 100 listings a year. I used to carry 100 listings. So if you're gonna do that volume, then you have to kick everything up a notch. When you realize you can, why wouldn't you? You're not gonna do this forever. So during the time you're doing it, why don't you do it well? Why don't you really? You can. I'm not from this country, so, and if I could figure it out. Imagine I was good looking like Chris, eh? Look at Chris here in the front. Maybe I had looks like this guy, or McLean, I'd be just like, wow, I could really kick butt.
And you didn't have your picture on this thing?
Oh yeah.
You did?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
In spite of my picture, they called.
In Fort St. John.
In Fort St. John. In Fort St. John. Well, I had to add some color in Fort St. John. They didn't have any of them. Greg, you want to know something? I saw one black guy one day in the middle of winter, and he was walking down the road, and I yelled at him, and he came across and talked to me, because just by the way he walked in, he was Jamaican.
Oh, yeah.
You know how Jamaican walks?
Sure, absolutely.
I called him in the Jamaican accent. Hey ma, what you doing over there in the cold weather, boy? I called him out in the Jamaican lingo, and he just was like unbelievable. He comes running across the street and he's talking to me, and I was actually showing a property that day, and the people were looking at me like, what the heck happened? You know? So yeah, so
Can we see the Jamaican walk?
can we see it? Greg will demonstrate it. Greg's not from Jamaica, but he's close by. He's from Trinidad. He'll demonstrate it afterwards. I don't want to take anything away from the black guys. I don't want to steal anything from those black guys. You know what I'm saying, Sue? Sue knows. I mean, you don't want to take anything
Watch
away
Cool
from...
Runnings.
Okay, you're on that page, building a business plan for buyers. So, like, I mean, now you got a network. Like, for instance, I got some examples. Are you in a church group? Are you in a parent-teacher group? Are you in a club? Are you in some kind of like there's all these meetup groups. There's all these meetup groups around that people are, they're doing social networking and meetup groups. Are you in some group? Why are you not getting business out of that group? If you're not getting enough business, maybe you should join a group. Okay, we're moving ahead, and you want to get to this sheet right here. Yeah. The reason you want to get to that sheet at some point when you're building the plan. Well, this is the sheet that says analysis of advertising and personal promotion expenses. So basically what I'm telling you here is if you draw the whole thing out for the year, you need to have a budget. Okay? And I'm going to show you a budget in seconds. And then you turn the page, you have another budget. So this is your whole business. This is everything that's in your business, your fees, your advertising, promotion expenses. Of course, like on any budget or any accounting piece of paper where you have a summary, it comes from a work page. So we just went through the work pages. So you move all the numbers from the work pages into the final sheet. When you move it into the final sheet, then it's going to look like this. So let's go to the expense side. So the expense side of your sheet, you can have this spreadsheet. So the nice thing about this spreadsheet is, let's say, let's say, you know what, you go, Ray, $300 a month. I'm not doing that. I'm doing like $700 a month. So I go $700. I make the change. Notice it changed the annual figure. And when it changed the annual figure, it would have also changed your expenses. So your monthly direct expenses, I just increased them in this box right here. So it'll change it throughout the sheet. Okay, and so if you go technology, Ray, you're too low. In my, you know, like, because some people are going to think $2,700 is too low, and some people are going to think $2,700 is too high. So that's why you want to have it all built out. You want to know what you want to know all the money you're going to spend before you spend it. You want to know all the money you're going to make before you make it. You want to put it on your spreadsheet, right? So we have the spreadsheet. Then you got to have if you want to become wealthy. Now don't do this if you want to stay poor, because staying poor is easy. If you want to stay poor and broke and depend on the government to take you through retirement, you don't need to do this. Like, you don't even need to come to this class. Like, if, you know, CPP and welfare is going to take care of you, you don't need to come. This is only for people who want to think, you know what, I don't want to be an NDPer, and I don't want to be dependent on the government. I'm going to figure out a way how to do this on my own and utilize all the entrepreneurial things that are available to me. That's why you would do this. So some people are going to go, Ray, some women are going to tell me, Ray, there's no way we can do the family for $7.50 in groceries. Am I right? But some women, do I get a nod? I see one nod.
I'll tell you, it's too much, too little.
Okay, so we might have to change that to $8.50, right? Let's just say we change that to $8.50. That automatically changes the annual figure. You know, and just work your way through the sheet. So anything that's in yellow is changeable. Okay, so then, if we keep changing the expenses, and you notice as I change the expenses, all of a sudden you realize that you know what I think
The value part?
yeah.
Doesn't have
The formulas wrong.
Something's wrong with the math.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Okay, so let's oh, I know what.
Yeah.
So what's the average commission here? About
5?
perfect. There we go. There we go. Okay. So the only thing you have to do is change the yellow. Now, you know, if you're first year in the business, let's just start with the simplest thing. Simplest thing is, you know, I would say your first year goal is break 100 grand. First year goal, break 100,000. Let me tell you, if you want a simple formula how to break 100,000, never miss training. Meet with me once a week, and you'll get tired of me, or you'll get tired of coming to training, or you'll make 100 grand. You know, go to Abbotsford, meet all kinds of guys. There's all kinds of guys here that make about 100 to 150 every year, and they're totally happy. Because when they met me, they couldn't figure out how to make 100 grand. I'll show you how to make 100 grand. But I really came here to find the guys that want to make $500,000. Because the next goal is I'll show you how to make 250. Chris, you have 500 on your forward, and but you don't know it yet.
No, I know it.
You see, so now you need to go from where you're at to 250. Once you get to 250, see, let me tell you how this works. This works like, you ever see how some people's goal is to go to base camp in Nepal? Like there was something that was a big show on TV that some people's goal is just to go to base camp. Their goal is not to climb Everest, but their goal is just to go to base camp. Well, it's a big job just to get to base camp.
Wow.
When you're in Kathmandu, which you have to get to go from there to base camp, the elevation is 6,500 feet. In the lowest part of the Kathmandu Valley, the elevation is 6,500 feet. So that's more than 3/4 of the way up Mount Baker.
Wow.
That's the valley. That's the floor of the valley, 6,500 feet. Okay, that's the lowest point. So if you get up to base camp's like about 10,000 feet. It's pretty mild actually to get up to base camp. However, the way up to base camp, there's some people that are finished by the time that's it. They're just at the base camp. So the thing with the income is you cannot go from nothing to 500,000 or $1 million. You go from nothing to 100, from 100 to 250, from 250 maybe you could break 4. I mean, unless your name's Randy. Randy, when I met Randy, he was making $250 a year. So I just, in his case, I just helped him to implement a few changes. He went from 250 to $500,000. And he implemented a few more changes, went from $500,000 to $750,000. Actually more than $750,000. And then he's never made less than $1 million cents in commissions. But by that time he had to acquire some team members and a few other things like that, right? So it just depends on what you want to do, but you've got to have it all here on the piece of paper, or else you're not going to know month by month. Remember we had a sheet where it went month by month, this is how many deals I need to close? So like to make $100,000 a year, you're closing 1.3 deals a month at 6,500. Look what would happen. Here's what would happen. One of the first things I like to help people do is increase your listing commissions by 37%. So without doing anything more, just get paid more. So if you increase your commissions, I'm not saying that's 37%, but if you just increase your commissions to 8,000, it changes a few things for you. So now you're just doing a little over, to break $100,000 a year. Look at the amount of work you're doing. You're not closing that many deals at 8,000 a side. So that's why I would suggest you go, let's change that number. So you can do all this stuff just by changing just change the yellow stuff. There, now you're doing 1.5. Now you'll notice that the numbers are not the same across the bottom. You see, the numbers aren't the same. Would you like to know what made it so the numbers aren't the same?
Certain months are busy.
This season?
Yeah, there's a tab at the bottom here called the rhythm. So what I've done, and you can actually do this better than me, because some of the numbers may be, I don't even have 2011. 2011 and 2010 numbers are very similar. So some of our numbers, if you check the data since 09, 10, 11, and 12, the total overall sales for the years there's not much difference. Like the sales went down in 09, they were up in 08, and they were at a higher level in 07, 06, 07, 08. Then the number of sales really dropped in 09, then it came back up in 2010. So I have 2010 and I don't have 2011. So what these are, these are the sales in our area, or in our these are actually our office total transaction size. So, and it's probably, most of this is the Abbotsford office. So it's not totally up to date, but what you can do is you can actually take any area you work in, and you can see the rhythm of your office or the rhythm of the market. And so the market rhythm will affect your business. The market will affect your business. The problem is most people, the market is their business. With a business plan, you and the plan are your business. But the market still will affect it. The market is still going to affect it. The market is the market. You just can't depend on it. So what's going to happen is, look at that. 13% of our sales came in February, 15 in March, and that rhythm is what will affect your cash flow as well, and that's why the number of sales are different and the number of ends are different. But that also tells you which months you should take holidays in. I always get a kick out of these guys who are going for holidays in the busiest month. Like, that is mind-boggling. Well, of course, we have rich people saying, we have the rich with us, and, they go for holidays in the busiest month. So if you get you see, basically what we did with the plan is we worked you through, and I have a spreadsheet that you can use to track everything. And at the last page, and this is what I'll close and you can ask a question. The last page is your accountability page. So if you don't like my accountability the way it is, design it a little bit better and figure out who it is that's going to hold you to the plan. And away you go. Questions? What time is it? What time is it?
11:36.
Wow.
I could see that being very useful. That spreadsheet.
Oh yeah.
Is there a template?
Yeah, it is. It's on the extranet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on the extranet. You can grab. Oh, that's a huge. That sheet is huge.
Absolutely.
That sheet is huge.
The extranet. So.
Wolf Connect.
Wolf
Connect. Yeah, right. Wolf Connect. We got questions, comments? What do we got?
Good presentation.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.